Welcome back inside the film room. Billy Jones and Ryan Schmacky is Missouri back on the road in the SEC for the third time this season, again against a ranked team, and we'll see if it goes a little better than it did the first two times because has not been a story of success so far this year for Missouri. Outscored by combined 75-10. We'll see though if they have the recipe. Drinkwitz has not lost to South Carolina. Missouri hasn't lost to South Carolina since 2019. So we'll see. Maybe they just have that recipe and that juju going against the Gamecocks. But boy, Beamer was not a team I was high on coming into the year, but he's put together a really good squad this year.
Yeah, they've got some dudes, Billy. They got some good players. The quarterback, Lenore Sellers, is playing very well as of the last couple weeks. He's a big guy. The running back's a big guy. They're gonna be a hard team to tackle. That's what I've seen so far from them, Billy. And yeah, I guess with that being said, we can get right into it. As we've talked about with some teams in the past couple of weeks, I think we talked about it in the Oklahoma game. They're a team that's going to want to establish the run pretty early. I think they're best when they run the ball inside. They'll mix it up a little bit. They'll run some outside zone, inside zone, a decent amount of pin pull that we've seen from some other teams in the past. But I think these first couple plays they have are just some base run plays that they're going to get into. This is just simple inside zone. I think their running back Sanders is a bigger guy. He was hurt. I think he got hurt in the LSU game earlier this season. This A&M game might have been his first game back, which was 2 weeks ago. He looked pretty good in that game. He looked good against Vanderbilt. I think he's best when running up the middle. He's kind of a bigger guy. He's pretty shifty too. I don't think he's got great breakout speed when it comes to the outside, but look for them to try to establish the inside run game early. This right here is just inside zone. You see 52, their left guard, kind of gets beat right there. Their left tackle doing enough. I think they're O-linemen when it comes to just inside zone, that kind of stuff. If you just give them a simple task, I think the hold block's long enough for Sanders, who's got good vision, as shown by this play right here, to get some good run plays going. I think the very next play they run right here is an outside, kind of a pin pull action. Let's see. Yeah, we're motioning this tight end down. Really his job to pin this defensive end. He doesn't do a great job. We're going to pull the tackle out. I think they end up pitching it. It's not a great pitch. Yeah, but all of a sudden that play is blown up pretty quickly just from six. That tight end not making his block right away, making that crack block. All of a sudden play is destroyed. I think they got a holding call on this play anyways, Billy. But I really think when it comes to the run game, if you're Missouri, and we'll look at another play later where I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about, but I really think the game plan's got to be plug the inside gaps. Talked about those concepts of boxing versus spilling. Boxing being setting the edge hard, you have your outside guys, your DN setting the edge very hard. Force one plays to the inside, spilling more, really trying to plug up those inside gaps, going under any pulling guards or whatnot, and forcing the play outside. I think this is a team that you want to focus on trying to spill the ball to the outside. I think letting them run the ball up the middle, they're going to stay ahead of the sticks if you let them do that. And that'll get them in, running the plays they want to on third down. I think if you force the ball outside, all of a sudden they're backed up on third down. You can do what you want to. You can attack on defense.
Yeah, we'll see if we can hit it. Definitely a pretty lethal backfield duo in terms of running the football with Rocket and Lenoris. And feels like that's kind of been the recipe is the offense just stays on the field because the defense has been so good and they sort of wear you down. I mean, you see right there just missed tackles, right? And talking to, Mike Elko and hearing from some of the A&M people, that was kind of their takeaway was we just didn't execute, missed a lot of tackles and, just kind of hurt us play after play. Had some chances for negative plays, couldn't do it. Had some chances to stone some runs up, couldn't do it.
Exactly. Yeah, missed tackles were the story of this game and kind of story of the Vanderbilt game too for them. Watching those highlights, watching through that game a little bit. Another inside zone type scenario here. This one's that swipe zone that we've talked about where try to rewind a little bit. Six right here. This wing is kind of taking you to the ball. We see that a lot of times. This wing back taking you to the ball. He's just coming across and watch. This is kind of what I'm talking about. This defensive end, Billy. He's boxing the ball here, making sure nothing gets outside of him. I really think right here he thinks he's getting, it's going to be a read option type play, which they will run a little bit of option plays, not as much as some other teams, but Sellers is a guy that can run the ball really well, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, I think this defensive end is thinking that he's being read. He's probably told, you're the quarterback guy, don't let the quarterback run the ball. So he's doing his job. Sorry, I went a little faster. He's doing his job, but that, little bit of hesitation or him thinking he's got the outside guy, now he's getting kicked out, and that creates a hole for the running back. I really think Missouri's game plan is going to be whenever we're just getting run plays, getting base run plays, have the defensive ends crashing hard anytime they're getting pulled on right here. This isn't really a pull, but it's a swipe. But anytime you're getting a block coming from the other side, spill that, take it on with this right shoulder, that inside shoulder, try to bounce it to the outside and let linebackers scrape and let, defensive backs make plays out there. But as you talked about, Billy, those linebackers scraping and those defensive backs have got to be able to make tackles. This is a play where this guy right here, this guy, he's probably playing man. He is playing man based on that motion. You can see how this guy's running with him. But they're in man to man. This guy's going to crack. He's got to do what we call a crack replace. If he can, he's trying to get to this safety. He's a far way away. But as soon as this cornerback realizing that he's trying to go crack someone, he's got to fall off. Now this outside gap is his because pass players still have run gaps, secondary run gaps kind of, and all of a sudden he's sucked too far in, tries to make an arm tackle. Big run for Sanders and for South Carolina. And then, like you were talking about as well, that lethal duo in the backfield. It's not just Sanders that's a powerful runner. You also got Sellers back there that can make things happen. When it comes to running the ball outside, I think their best success has come when it's Sellers. I feel like we saw Oklahoma run this play a couple of times, I think in our last film study, Billy. But again,
Yeah.
they're just putting a bunch of guys right here on the line, running pin pull with the quarterback. You got our outside receivers are cracking down, pinning down, some of the linemen over here pinning down. And now you're pulling this wing guy and pulling this tackle. You see them pull the tackles a lot, interestingly, versus maybe a lot of teams traditionally would pull a guard. So prepare to see some tackle pulls. I actually think this is a false start if we play this in real time from this tackle that he gets away with a little jump. But all of a sudden they're outside. A&M's out leveraged. Sellers. We'll get to some clips later. You can't arm tackle the guy. He is a powerful runner. I think A&M learned that lesson. Unfortunately, didn't learn it well enough because they ended up losing. But some powerful runners for South Carolina. Again, I think that's going to be the story of the game. And then when it comes to getting into third down, third and shorts, anytime you got third and three, you typically say you're kind of on schedule, right? You're not behind the sticks. You can still run the ball here, quick passes. Sellers, I think, is best in the passing game. One, I think if we can get him in play action. Two, if you can get him quick passes. And three, when he's scrambling. Anytime it's third and long, he's got to sit back in the pocket, make a longer throw. I don't think that's his strength, but right here they get the right call on. A&M is playing man to man here, and you see him run mesh, which we've talked about some in the past, where
Yeah.
we're just going to have guys crossing to try to get in the way of everyone. This cornerback is playing man on this guy, and he's just going to run across the field fast, and other people are going to be running the other way, create a lot of chaos in the defensive backfield, which you can kind of see going on here. Got him the right play. He's got to, run all the way around to try to make that play, but still ends up making a really good play. Testament to A&M's defense, but really pointing out that play to say how good can Missouri match up against South Carolina's wide receivers. Obviously, Nick Harbor's a guy. Anyone who plays the video game, they know he's a big guy, but also has got what, like 98 speed or something on that game. I think he was
Right.
I might have made track records or something when he was in high school. I don't. He might even still run track for them now. I'm not sure, but really fast guy, really big guy. But I think Missouri has the athletes when it comes to getting them on a third down. And if they can play man to man on third down, this is an instance where South Carolina's got them in a man beater on third down, and they're still not really fast enough to outrun them and make the play. So I really like Missouri on third down if they can get them in a third down and getting into passing scenarios,
Yeah, it was
especially.
down they did really well against Oklahoma with. I mean, Oklahoma's really only long drive uh they put together was late in that game, and those were mostly big runs on first and second down. So, you know, that I feel like this season has been a good spot for Missouri, save probably the Boston College game and the A&M game, frankly. But yeah, I think I agree that the recipe for I think both teams in this game is going to be lean on the defense and really try and run the football. Whether it's Brady Cook or Drew Pine tomorrow for Missouri, I think they really want to try and establish that running game. In South
Yeah,
Carolina in the same boat.
yeah, exactly. I mean, really, that's what football is all about, Billy. It's interesting in the NFL. I feel like we're seeing more of a shift to a lot of teams come on in the passing game right away. But you know, since the beginnings, football has been all about establishing the run first, then getting into that pass game, setting that up with play action and whatnot.
Yeah,
But it's interesting when South Carolina, tries to get in the pass game, sometimes it ends up being a run game, Billy. We saw that a lot in the past couple of weeks. Sellers is a really hard guy to tackle. Even when you got a free rusher on him, you think you got him in the backfield, he's going to be able to, oh, I think we're going forward here. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Anytime we get Sellers in the backfield, I mean, this is just straight. Well, it's play action actually. It's something they'll try to get going a decent amount. But I mean, this play should not be a 10-yard game. Should be a sack, arm tackle, arm tackle. Now we're just having fun, get down, save ourselves. But I want to show that one up there. Not really from a schematic standpoint. Yeah, it's play action, which we'll talk about a little bit more. And they're going to try to establish that once they establish the run. But when it comes to the guys on their team, Sellers is a really hard guy to tackle. So how well is Missouri going to be able to tackle him? If we're getting him behind the sticks, like this play right here, 3rd and 10, if Missouri comes out with that speed package where we want to play cover one and, get that spy in there, how well is that quarterback spy actually going to be able to do his job? And how well are those defensive linemen going to be able to keep contained and not let him get those big gains on 3rd down, which will, that's a
yeah,
hard part here. If you stop the run on 1st down, you plug up those gaps, all of a sudden 3rd down, all those guys in coverage, they do their job, and then all of a sudden quarterback breaks free. That's, a terrible feeling if you're a defense. So how well will they be able to stop that? A lot of times when we see South Carolina get behind the sticks, though, and a lot of teams will bring pressure at them. We'll see how much pressure Missouri wants to bring. But I think they had a good game plan for Texas A&M because we saw them a lot of times on 3rd down running screen plays. This right here isn't the only one that worked out for them kind of successfully. But they knew A&M wanted to attack on 3rd down, threw a lot of screen plays. This is a perfect design screen. I mean, he's wide open, except for the fact that he doesn't hold on to the ball. So, two stories on this play, Billy. I think we talked about it going into the Oklahoma game about turnovers. Yeah, that game was a very close game, and all of a sudden, turnovers changed everything in the end, right? So, again, another game where I think this Missouri South Carolina game could be pretty close. All about getting that ball out, all about getting turnovers. So, yeah, that was a moral of the story in the last game. Again, got to remind the fans of that for this game as always. But expect
yeah,
to see some screens from South Carolina on 3rd and longs when they don't feel comfortable. Because I really don't think they're going to feel great about their wide receiver matchups against Missouri on 3rd and long. Sellers just sitting back and trying to pick them apart. I don't think he's going to be able to pick that secondary apart. I think he's going to have to make plays with his legs, or they're going to have to catch him in some screen plays.
right.
So this was the first play against A&M, Billy. I thought this was interesting. A lot of times you see teams just run the ball on that first play to try to get in front of the chains, right? Especially on that first drive, get some momentum. But South Carolina, being a team that likes to run the ball a lot, will also try to catch you in some play action, just fake to the running back and then get yourselves in some good matchups, get those linebackers sucked in. This is that very first play against A&M. Talking about Nick Harbor, we see we got him in what we think is kind of a one-on-one matchup. Good game plan from them. They knew they were rolling down in some cover three or some cover one. And all of a sudden on the outside, he's in a one-on-one, Harbor with great speed. So on that first play, that's something I think they're going to try to attack if they get those matchups. I think when Missouri comes out in any sort of cover one, I'd say this is probably the route, his first read. Sorry about that, Billy. Tell as old as time, me freezing on the Zoom, but we're back into it. Anyways, yeah, so talking about Nick Harbor, really hasn't exploded this season statistically. I think he's only got 14 catches for like 140 something yards. Had a really big touchdown at the end of the game against Alabama. It was kind of a crazy sideline catch that ended up getting them in that game. I think they missed the 2-point conversion
Yeah,
that would have tied it. But Hasn't really exploded, but that doesn't mean he is not a threat. Someone to keep in mind. We'll see how Missouri matches up against him when it comes to the passing game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Missouri's receivers are honestly kind of in the same camp. I think we've seen flashes this year, right? But I don't think either Luther Burden or Theo Weiss has taken over games the way people kind of thought they would. I mean, Theo had a really nice run on a screen pass, and then obviously on that game tying drive late in the game, you had the that long throw down the sideline to Luther, and then Theo kind of jump started the drive with that slant completion over the middle, and then obviously that circus catch on that fade ball. So we'll see because I think that's going to be a huge key, like contested catches, because you're not going to have the time against South Carolina to run these long developing plays. Like I think it's going to be incumbent on these receivers to get out of their breaks early and get open, and when they get shots at jump ball, go make the catch.
Yeah, you're right, Billy. South Carolina, we'll get in their pass rush later. It's an exciting thing to watch for a South Carolina fan. Got maybe one or two more plays on their offense. This is another example of them running a nice play action. A stat. This is, I don't know, I think this is their second time they got the ball. Yeah, they're already up seven. Second time they got the ball against A&M. Ran the ball pretty well in this drive. Started with it, actually stopped them on fourth down. Started in plus territory, but established a run, 1st and 5, A&M thinking run. All of a sudden, cool little play action. Tight end's just going to sneak out of there. Bang, touchdown, 14-0.
So tough
If
to
you're,
defend.
yeah, yeah, if you're, this play sucks if you're a defense. This is, like basically a throwback is what you call it. Rolling out one way. You think this is the guy we're looking for, that deep cross route on the play action, but that tight end right here basically just gets lost in everyone. I mean, I think A&M is playing some sort of man here. Kind of hard to tell, but really hard whoever's guarding that tight end, if he's blocking right away, your first thought is either, all right, I'm gonna look for the run game. Now I'm gonna look to help someone else, but he blocks right away. Now you're looking somewhere else. All of a sudden he just slips out of there and there's no one there to help. That play sucks for your defense. They hit it pretty well. Big play against A&M right there. Anytime you're down in a 14-0 hole, A&M ended up kind of playing pretty well for the remainder of the game. Maybe not well, but I think they
Second
really,
quarter, I think they went into halftime with a lead, maybe,
yeah,
or only down a point or something. Yeah.
they looked good from that point on. But anytime you dig yourself in that hole, you let a team like South
Yeah.
Carolina play in it, it's pretty tough.
And I mean, that's something to watch. I mean, they've jumped on teams at home. A&M 14-0. LSU, they were up 17-0. So that's gonna be something Missouri has to be wary of.
Yeah,
Is to make sure they're ready to play because if it gets into a situation where South Carolina jumps on them, that you have that kind of here we go again factor, and especially against a team like South Carolina can rush the passer that well. I mean, you can't fall behind early.
yes, exactly. I think if you're Missouri going into this game, you're going to want to slow the game down pretty early. Don't get beat deep on anything right away. Make South Carolina run the ball. They're going to want to establish a run, but let them run the ball. Um, Talking about the play action, Billy, I think that's something that they excel at in the passing game. This is kind of a hybrid of what I was talking about earlier. I think they have good passing game when they get into play action, and I think they have a good passing game when Sellers just runs around and creates things on his own. This will kind of see both. I think they were backed up here against Vanderbilt 1st and 20. Um, Play action, get the linebacker sucked in, but actually good coverage, good job from Vanderbilt's linebackers getting back to their drops right away and taking away these kind of deep curl routes. And all of a sudden, well, we did our coverage, we did our job. All right, sack. It's going to be second in forever, going to be a big play for us for Vanderbilt. Nope, never mind. Arm tackle. Sellers going to run around, do his own thing. Bang, ends up being a 50-plus yard gain. And they win that game by 3 touchdowns. And let's talk about their defense, Billy, because I don't want to talk about that play anymore. But so South Carolina, honestly, I think we're going to see a pretty aggressive defense out of them. Beamer kind of talked about stopping that outside zone that Missouri loves to do, and that's something that they've kind of got them on in the past. Missouri's kind of owned South Carolina for the past couple of years since Drinkwitz and Beamer have both been coaches there. I don't think Beamer's ever beat Drinkwitz in this
He's
South.
not. He's 0-3.
0-3. Okay, yeah. So he, gave a lot of credit to Drinkwitz in that pregame interview, said we got to stop that run. So I think going into the Texas A&M game, it looked like they were really aggressive against the run because that's something A&M established pretty well. And, having Marcel Reed in there, a young quarterback playing in a loud away atmosphere. I think they wanted to force him to throw the ball. And they were really aggressive, even on base downs, played a lot of cover one and even some cover zero on base downs. We're getting their third and short aggressiveness too. But right here, they're just playing cover one, good job from the safeties.